with my ex-wife was her birthday's on Saturday. So her birthday came, and she came home from work. It was coming up to her birthday. She came from work crying her eyes out. I was like, "What's the problem? What happened? Man, talk to me. What do I need to do?" He's like, "I couldn't get off work on my birthday." And I was like, "Well, I think your birthday's Wednesday this year." And she's like, "Yeah." And she's just like bawling, crying, and all. I made the mistake of saying, "So," and she said, "So." It's my birthday. You don't. I said, "Well, you can do something on the weekend. What are you gonna do on a Wednesday? Life doesn't stop because it's your birthday."
Yeah, I don't get. I
Well, it
guess
was
maybe it's a
terrible.
woman. Maybe it's a woman thing. I don't know.
It's
I'm
gotta
just
be,
like,
man. I
I
could
don't really
care
care.
less.
People tell me happy birthday. Okay, thank you. It's just
Yeah, yeah, I'll take that. That's my one time of the year where I go through Facebook and I
yeah,
actually answer every single person that
yeah,
says it's a
yeah.
nice
I mean,
gesture, but I don't need presents and what are you going to be doing and all this other stuff.
no, like like if my wife was, if I was in Canada, she'd ask me what she'd cook me whatever she'd
Yeah,
ask me what I
yeah, yeah,
want to eat. That's fine. All that, that's cool. Really, I just want to be left alone. Like if she
yeah.
asks me,
Leave me
and
be.
just let me sit here and not have to do anything for anyone and watch sports
Yeah,
for a night and just not be bothered.
that would be perfect.
Honey, I
That
love you,
sounds
but I don't want to talk to you tonight.
that
Just let
sounds
me,
like a great birthday, actually.
yeah,
How old
just
are you anyway?
45.
All right, you're getting there.
Yeah,
Oh, then when you turn 50, they're going to be asking you all sorts. Oh, you got to do something now. Yeah, I'm going to be by myself watching sports.
just leave me
Same thing I
alone.
did when I turned 46,
Yeah,
47,
just I
48.
want to be left alone for the night. Just leave me alone.
Exactly.
Solitude.
All right, you want to get started on this
Let's
joint?
do this, man. Let's
So I
knock
got to
it
go
out.
pick this kid up at 9 o'clock. This kid's working some crazy hours because of Thanksgiving now. Unbelievable. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I came up with a new plan, by the way, for the audio. It's going to work perfectly now. I've been doing it all off of YouTube, but I keep forgetting I'm recording off of Riverside too. So I'm just going to take the audio from Riverside and video from YouTube, and we'll be at the same level. I don't know why I didn't think about this first, but I'm stupid. So it's nothing you can
Ah,
do. All right. What happened to you? You froze up. Okay, you're back. You're not back. No, you are back. What the heck's
there we
going
go.
on? All right.
Somehow my internet's kind of go bars.
What is going
You
on?
got me?
Yes. Yeah, I
It's my
got you now.
internet.
Okay.
It's my internet. I'm gonna switch to my hotspot,
Okay.
and so I'm gonna log out and log. So it'll probably kick me off when I switch to my hotspot. But
All right. I'll still
my
be here.
internet's kind of going in and out, and I don't like it. I don't want to. I don't want to
Yeah.
risk that.
You don't want to freeze up on this joint.
Just connect to the hotspot real quick. All right, so I'm gonna disconnect from the house Wi-Fi. All right. Okay, you got me.
I do have you.
Okay, I switched.
All right.
I switched to internet, so we should be good now.
All right. Let's hope this works out for us. All right. All right. It's the Houston High School Huddle, and we got Thanksgiving in a couple days. And I tell you what, I mean, coaches have a ton of goals throughout the year, but one of them goals is to practice on Thanksgiving. And not be like some of these other teams or like me, just sit there and eat all day Thanksgiving. They're going to have something to practice, maybe eat beforehand, then practice and work that stuff off. And a lot of teams in Houston have done that. Some teams that we didn't expect are still playing. Like there's one matchup that we got in 6A Division Two. I don't know if either one of those teams thought they'd still be going, but they're practicing. They're all
They're
kinds of
here.
excited. Exactly, they're all kinds of excited.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're excited for it because it's also what they call triple header season.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple
Mm-hmm.
places with triple headers. We used to have it in DFW, but not anymore. But we do have it in Houston. We have one in San Antonio. And the Houston one's really tasty. We'll get into all that, but man, this is a perfect time to sit down. You're weighted down anyway with that big turkey dinner, and then the
Mm-hmm.
leftovers afterwards. Go find yourself a seat at NRG and sit back. And if you can get there at 10 a.m., get there right when it starts, and just sit there all the way till
Yeah.
9:30. You
Just
got yourself some
just
games. Great
veg
time of
out
year.
on football. Just veg out on football. It's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be at
Hey,
NRG on Friday.
there you
Why
go.
not?
We've been
Get my
waiting
H
for
Town
you.
on this weekend.
God
been a
bless him.
little
We've been
while.
waiting for you in Space City. He's back, and he's not doing any
Back.
kind of play-by-play, right, or color commentary. He's just analyzing the
No,
games.
I was gonna. I got offered to jump on Texan Live Friday, but there's some other younger broadcasters who've never called a game. Someone let the kids.
Give him a bump.
It's a cool opportunity to call a game at NRG. I've done it. I just really want to, and plus I can. Black Friday is one of my favorite days of the year, Ward, because there's so many games going on all day. I want to have my tablet out and monitoring games and watching games, and I'm going to be multitasking like a mug in the press box there at NRG, the very high press box there at NRG. But I'm looking forward to getting back to Houston and watching some great football. And so I'll be there Friday and Saturday. So I got 4 great games in Houston this weekend.
Yeah, I can imagine for you having that tablet out in the first couple rounds of playoff. Most probably 90% of the games start at 7 o'clock, so you're flipping all over the place on a Friday.
Yeah.
Whereas Black Friday, like you're talking about, you can actually zero in on 2-3 games at 1 o'clock, 2-3 games at 3 o'clock, because they're spread out so much during the day. It's probably a better time for you anyway, right?
It's awesome, yeah. And then there's now, as we get further in the playoffs, there's a few more Saturday games as the 6As and 5As start to move to Saturday. We got more Saturday games this week, so kind of do the same thing on Saturday as well. So looking forward to it. It's this is a goal for a lot of coaches to practice on Thanksgiving Day, and it's a bucket list. The kind of checklist. Make win district. Make the playoffs. Win district. Win a playoff game. Practice on Thanksgiving. Now, once you get past this, it's
all state or bust, right?
I mean, if you win this weekend, like going to state is within reach. Like you're 2 games away from playing for a state championship. So these games, the intensity and the stakes just keep getting higher and higher, and I'm fired up for it this weekend.
Yeah, you're like one of a handful of teams left, and it's a realistic dream. Let's talk about some of the area round games that you thought were, something to talk about here the week after. Is there anything that happened in Houston that you're like, man, I can't believe this happened, or this is amazing footage? I mean, our boy Johnny Abear was at it again for
Yeah, he was doing,
and he wasn't even feeling good.
After a crazy by-district round, especially in 6A, it was pretty chalky.
Yeah,
The
played
favorites pretty much. Now, some of them got pushed. Fulshear got pushed by Lamar. Atascocita got pushed by Pearland. So there were some teams that Willis got really pushed by Tomball. Very controversial game there. I've seen some chatter on Twitter about that. I went back and watched it. It was a nip and tuck game. So that some of the favorites got pushed. But I think for the most part, the form held in the bigger classifications. I'm stoked. If you go down to 3A, I mean, how about Van Vleck and Tidehaven?
Did you expect Van Vleck to go this far? I mean, we'll talk about this game in detail. It's wild.
4th place team. Didn't expect that. I think in 4A Division 1 and Region 4, the bracket has really opened up for Bay City with the 2 other favorites going down, Austin LBJ and San Antonio Davenport. How about Stafford going up into East Texas and knocking off Longview Pine Tree? So there were some great moments there in the Houston area for some of the local teams in the smaller classifications, which you don't usually see in Greater Houston. I think another game that really caught my eye was LaPorte, just how easily they handled Barbers Hill. That was like
55-7 at one point, right?
Yeah, Kevin Bernithi's squad is playing really good. They got a tough test this week. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, but really impressive from LaPorte. So what I like to see this week in Houston was really the balance, not just in 6A, but we had, in Houston area, you had a lot of really good and positive results in multiple classifications, which is fun to see.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and knock into some of these brackets here real quick, because we're going to start off in 6A Division 2 with the Duncanville game. Let me take that off the screen again. Once again, on the fly here. Always got to take that off the screen. On the fly here. Duncanville taking on the Woodlands. We've talked about how this has happened the last couple of years. Sure. Man, that thing's a runaway train up there in North Texas with Duncanville. They're getting it down in Austin. It's a neutral site. I don't know if it's going to really matter. The Woodlands took care of business with Cy Ranch. Dalton's playing well. They're playing well, but are they playing well enough to even I mean, they're going to get through a half before they start thinking about things.
Here's one thing that might give Woodlands fans hope of a competitive game. They're not. I don't think they're going to win. I mean, it would take a monumental upset for Woodlands to win. But Westfield and Duncanville kind of had a little series going on there. And the first couple times Westfield played Duncanville, they got their doors blown off.
Right.
And in that third time, they took them to overtime. They played them tough. They almost pulled off a really shocking upset. I believe this is Woodland's third time playing Duncanville. And you saw it last week with in West Texas with Wolfworth Friendship and South Lake Carroll.
Yeah.
South Lake beat Friendship bad the first two times, and in the third meeting, Friendship pushed them and only lost by 7. This is the third meeting. Maybe the Woodlands can keep it competitive, keep it close, and hang around. Look, that's all you can ask for at this point for the Woodlands. Try to hang around, keep it a game, and see what happens in the fourth quarter. You know, and that's what you got to hope for the Woodlands. You got to hope it's really a really windy day. It's cold. Maybe Duncanville's passing game gets slowed down a little bit. I mean, you need a lot to go right, but I do think this will be a more competitive game than it has been the first two times.
Yeah, the ideal thing for the Woodlands was to be somehow get up 2 scores and then play that time of possession game. All of a sudden start grinding out and don't let Duncanville have the ball back. But getting up 2 scores is the key.
You don't want Keelan Russell having too many cracks at it because he's too good.
He'll make it happen. All right. Lower half, you got Waxahachie against Bridgeland. Bridgeland, they took care of Conroe. They kind of won. They got some little style points this time around. They maybe not got as many style points against Klein Oak, but they did against Conroe. They put up some points here. Your thoughts about this one? It's a 3 p.m. start down there at the field in Pflugerville. Talk about what you think about this game.
It's going to be a really good game. Waxahachie coming off a nice win over North Forney, 32-12. Bridgeland, after struggling against Klein Oak in the first round, looked good against Conroe, did what they need to do. I think this is a toss-up game, a pick 'em. I love Waxahachie's sophomore quarterback, Jerry Meyer. Waxahachie's going to be a lot more athletic than Bridgeland's going to be. Waxahachie's loaded with athletes. The matchup here to watch is Waxahachie's defensive line, led by Cade Pointer, going against that Bridgeland offensive line with Jonte Newman and Ryan Foji, the two big-time Division I commits. That's the marquee matchup here. It's the Waxahachie D-line going against the
battle in the trenches.
If Bridgeland O-line can win that battle, they got a shot. Waxahachie's D-line wins that battle, I think they could run away with it.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And another thing to think about is Wax has been through 11-6A, so they've been through some battles here. Matter of fact, they played an undefeated team into overtime there with Capel, so they've played some battles, so they're well tested.
Yeah,
Richard's well tested as well.
Their 3 losses are to Capel, DeSoto, and Duncanville, who are combined, if math serves, 33-2.
Yeah, 2 losses there from DeSoto, and the other ones are undefeated. So, yeah, it's going to be something else. All right, well, let's move over to a Region 3. What do we got? 12 state titles here between these two teams.
A lot.
Katie, North Shore. That's your second middle game of the triple header. It should be exciting. Boy, North Shore just took apart Ridge Point. I mean, they just did what they had to do in the first half. They let Ridge Point come back a little bit, but man, were they on point.
You wonder how locked. You jump on a team 30-0 that fast, and
there's going to be some comeback.
Yeah, foot off the gas a little bit. Yeah, so. And Austin Carlisle, what a heroic performance from him for Ridge Point. He went out, as we like to say, on his shield.
Right.
He played great. But you got to wonder if North Shore let their foot off the gas a little bit. Now, they didn't let it off totally because we had a team not in the Houston area, folks, who blew a 45-7 second quarter lead.
That's
Talk about letting your foot off the gas. That was the Georgetown Eagles who led Frisco Reedy 45-7 and ended up losing 49-35.
Exactly.
So, lesson learned: don't take your foot off the gas too early in the Texas high school football playoffs because crazy things can
Somebody
happen.
will get you. Exactly.
Yeah, but North Shore, did what they needed to do. Caleb Bailey played very well for North Shore. Hardiman and Chris Thomas, the 2 running backs, were outstanding. Dion DeBlanc had a ridiculous touchdown catch.
I saw that.
Touchdown catch in the end zone there. It was an impressive performance. from the
These
North
guys
Shore
are locked
Huskies.
in. They're locked in. And again, we talked
Playing
about
well.
time of possession. I mean, Katie has the meat up front to actually make it a time of possession type game. And the thing I always love when I watch Katie is they'll pound, 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 and that play action gets you every time. You'll get at
Yeah,
least 2 touchdowns from that play action because they run it so well, no matter who the quarterback is.
they're
I mean,
really
the
good
last
at it.
couple have been Gunner Nelson because they pound you so much, and you just expected it. And that when they choose to run it, it's almost always six.
It's true. North Shore's a different kind of matchup because of the two corners on the outside. They can man up with you and just leave those guys on an island and then not even worry about anybody else because you've got Devin Sanchez and Pringle. I mean,
Yeah,
Pringle's the number 2 corner. He's committed to Arkansas. And then you've got Charles Ross back there, the LSU commit, who can kind of be your hybrid and kind of erase things if things go south. So North Shore can load the box and try to slow the run down and lock up one-on-one on the outside with Katie's receivers. So North Shore's speed on offense is always giving Katie's defense trouble. They have trouble tackling in space. That's where the key in this. It's you think about this. They haven't played since. This is the first time these two teams have played since 2019.
yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's been that long since they've played, but this is the first time since 2019 we're getting Katie North Shore, and I'm excited. It's going to be a big crowd at NRG on Friday afternoon.
Oh yeah.
I think most of Houston is going to show up for this thing. This is, Houston. Games in Houston don't always draw the casual fans because everybody's kind of locked into their own team. It's
Right.
different in Dallas. The casuals will show up at any big game. This is the one game in Houston that I think will draw the casuals. I think you
Yeah.
will have a lot of neutral fans show up at NRG for this one. I'm excited for it. Should be a fun atmosphere. Going with North Shore, I just think they got too much. They're playing too well. But Katie's Katie. You can't count them out.
Exactly. Yeah, they are playing well. They are playing well. Man, the winner of this game gets the winner of another really good game. Atascocita and Fulshire down over there at Thorne Stadium. That's a 2 in the afternoon game. So I know your tablet's going to be working overtime at 2
Oh yeah.
because those two are both playing at 2. You had two teams that both had to scrap to get their wins, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was kind of wishing that my Saturday game was at Thorne. It's a beautiful stadium. I wish I could get over there and watch it. I've heard great things about the remodel that Aldine ISD did. This one, both these teams were pushed last week. Tascasita Pearland was,
They were
trailed
up.
17
They were down by 3 at half. Yeah.
in the fourth quarter. It was 14-14 at the half. Pearland led 17-14 in the fourth quarter before Atascocita scored a couple of late touchdowns to put it away. But they got pushed. Fulshere's offense was great, but they got touched up by Lamar, especially in the passing game. That's the concern if you're Fulshere.
I was going to say, does that worry you?
Lamar's athleticism cost you problems. Well, buddy, let me tell you, there probably isn't a more athletic team this side of Duncanville, North Shore, North Crowley than the Atascocita Eagles. They are going to present matchup problems with, and it's not just Carday, McIntory, Blaylock. Tony and Page, the outsiders, Kyron Pate, the outside receivers are. Pate had a touchdown, punt return for a touchdown last week in the win. Dangerous and dynamic players, and Atascocita's defense, which hasn't always been super consistent, played a great game last week against Pearland, holding them to 3 second-half points. So, Fulshere's running game is a challenge. The way Fulshere plays is a challenge because Fulshere will go for it on fourth down a lot. They're going to go for 2.
Yeah.
They'll onside kick on you. Their analytics to the core and that wide zone scheme that Caduti runs there at Fulshere is tough to stop. It's a really fascinating matchup. I like Atascocita. Got to go with the Eagles here. But I think Fulshere is just a unique matchup for Atascocita, and it's going to be fun to watch and see how these two teams kind of feel each other out, especially early in the game.
Yeah, those Eagles have found themselves in some scrappy, down-to-the-wire type games throughout the year, but they more than likely have ended up with a W in that type situation. You can take that thing into the playoffs and build off of it and yell at your players at the halftime, or, on the sideline saying, hey, we've been here before. You remember what happened against Kingwood, Summer Creek, what have you. We come out on top. So relax if Fulshere gets ahead. So I probably also will go at Atascocita in this one. Let's move on to 6A Division II. Soto and Willis, they're playing it in a dome again, but this time it's up in Dallas at the Star. That's a Saturday night game. I tell you what,
TV audience for this one.
Exactly. FanDuel.
Yeah.
I tell you what, from what I saw, and obviously it was our game of the week last week, which was Willis and Tomball. It's starting to move more and more into a one-man team over here. My man Bishop is doing everything offensive, defensively. I tell you what, if he hadn't knocked Falden out of the game, they would have lost that thing because I guarantee you he would have plugged it in from on the fourth down there at the end of the game. It seems like he's doing everything, and how much can he keep doing that against the DeSoto team that they put up 390 yards rushing last week against in their win.
And Tiger Ryden had 300 of it. The Texas A&M commit for DeSoto had 300 yards rushing. I believe he broke Byron Hanspard's school record, rushing record last week for DeSoto. DeSoto has had great running backs come through there. Byron Hanspard, Dontre Wilson, Tatum Bell,
Cyrus the Virus.
Cyrus Gray, yeah, they've had so many good running backs come through that have gone on to great things in college and the NFL. And Tiger Ryden has exceeded all of them in high school. So congrats to him. I like the strategy at Willis to just make the whole plane out of Jermaine Bishop. It's great, but other guys have got to step up, and I think it starts with quarterback Jack Dalton. He's got is it Emerson or Dalton?
Emerson. It's Emerson.
Dalton's at Woodlands.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You got Emerson.
Jack Dalton at the Woodlands. Emerson at Willis. He's got to. I think. I get it. Bishop's his guy, but you got to get Jalen Mickens more involved. And Jalen Mickens he's the other guy that can step up and carry the load. I think you got to get. And he did have a touchdown last week for Willis.
Yeah, late.
They got to get Mickens involved, and I think they got to run the ball a little bit more. I especially against DeSoto. As big and physical as DeSoto is, you don't want your defense to be out on the field all game long. That's kind of what happened last year. Willis busted some big plays in the first half, but then DeSoto would come right back out, and they're just too quick with it. So I think they need to try to establish a running game. I don't think DeSoto's defense is near what they were last year. I do think Willis, if they try to run the ball, can run the football, but I think they need to establish a running game and protect their defense a little bit because they are improved, but DeSoto's offensive line is still massive.
Yeah.
I mean, you got.
I stood next to the dude, by the way. I had their game Thursday. I stood next to him, and I look like a little punk. I look like Muggsy Bogues out there, and I'm 6'1", and I don't look.
Is every bit 6'8", 380.
Yeah.
And they're he's not. The other guys aren't little either. So Willis is going to have to protect the defense a little bit here. I do think Willis keeps it closer this year, but I still think DeSoto wins. I say 42-24, 49-31 kind of game. I think Willis keeps it competitive, but I just don't think the Willis defense can hold up in 4 quarters against DeSoto.
Talk to me about the controversy you were talking about that you've been reading on the X.
Yeah, there was an interception that got ruled that looked like the ball clearly hit the ground. So there was some. Willis got some breaks, and that happens sometimes. I mean, no one's saying the referees are terrible. They're human. They miss calls. That happens. It's part of the game. But it does mean with all the cameras and people that have cameras and everything at these games now, it's hard to miss. If a call's missed, we'll probably see it. So, but hey, Willis has got to take advantage of it now. They're playing on Thanksgiving weekend for the second straight year. Can they? I think this is very similar to the Woodlands matchup. You're playing a monster. Keep it close. Be in the ball game in the fourth quarter and let the chips fall where they may.
And let's I don't want to say prayers, but let's hope my man Jackson Folden's doing all right. That was a mega hit by Bishop there at the goal line, but the fact that he was laid out and got stretchered out. Let's hope he's doing all right because that.
Yeah, I hope he's okay. Yeah.
And hats off to their backup quarterback who didn't just come in and scrub out. He threw a touchdown pass. He got him down to the fourth down at about the 4-yard line. He led them. They were right there in it.
I thought Tomball was going to win it. Yeah, I mean, Tomball wins those games. The playoffs. They find a way to win. So credit to the Willis defense for coming up with that stop there at the end of the game.
Exactly. And there's a new Tomball in town these days. His name is Klein Collins. They go ahead and edge their way into playoffs. So now they're playing some ball. They took care of College Park, and now they got Debo coming. We talked about East Texas teams coming, but I don't know. Longview's not playing like the Longview before, but they did manage to take advantage of some Lancaster, what do you want to call it, collapsibility to pull
Sure,
the thing off. And
it was a late game collapse by the Lancaster Tigers for sure.
what do you think about
This
Klein Collins' chances here?
I think they have a good chance. This is a hard. I don't have a good read on either of these teams. Collins, when they're good, they're really good. They put a 70 burger up on College Park last week, so we're talking
Yeah,
about a good. When Klein Collins is good, they are very good. But when they are bad, they can be very bad. I don't know which Klein Collins team we're going to get. Now they're playing well. This is an extended streak of good play from Adrian Mitchell's ball club. Now a win over Cy Woods and then a dominant win over College Park in the playoffs to start that out. But even towards the end of the regular season, they got a nice win over Klein Forest in their final regular season game. They lost. They pushed Klein Kane, lost a close one there, and then before that they had beaten Tomball Memorial and Magnolia. So
right.
you feel like Klein Collins has gotten it together, having won 5 of their last 6 games. The key here is for Collins is Longview is unconventional. They are not a spread team. They are going to get in the I formation, and they are going to be physical, and they are going to mash you. They are going to play big bully football, and they are going to use their running back, Kelvin Boosie Washington, who's unbelievable. I mean, he's got 2,000 yards rushing. He's got another 400 receiving. He's also returned a couple of kicks for touchdowns. The offense runs through Kelvin Boosie Washington, especially now because Longview's got a sophomore quarterback making his second varsity start this week in Johnny Hamilton III, a sophomore. His first varsity start was last week against Lancaster, and he looked at times like a sophomore in his first varsity start. But he also made some really big throws, and I think he's going to have a lot more confidence going into this game against Klein Collins, especially, no offense to Klein Collins, but the speed of the game is going to slow down a little bit going against Klein Collins versus Lancaster, because Lancaster is elite speed.
Yeah.
So, and they're aggressive. They play aggressive man-to-man defense, and they bring the house just about every time. So he was under duress the whole game. So I think he's going to have a little bit more of a chance to be comfortable in this game. It's in Lufkin. Longview knows the surroundings very well. It's very familiar territory to them. I like Longview in a close one, but this is going to be a close game. I like Longview by less than a touchdown. So that's kind of. I think the playing in Lufkin is going to be a big edge for Longview in this game.
I'm going to go ahead and roll with Collins in this one, and for the simple fact of what you talked about with the sophomore quarterback, I think they're going to take advantage of that situation, and if they can stop Boozy on those out sweeps that he likes to run and get on the outside and take off like that, if they can make a couple stops there, and they're playing so well, I don't know. I'm going to roll with Collins this one. We'll see. We'll talk about it next week who's right and who's wrong. Because we're definitely going to talk about it in the bottom half of this, Dickers, because I was actually right one time and you weren't with the Straight Jesuit Heights game. But first, we're going to talk about Jordan and Summer Creek. Man, Jordan's defense was Manville. They were supposed to beat Manville by probably 5 scores. They did, but just watching their defense fly around out there and making plays, it reminds me of how they've been playing defense against Shadow Creek in week 1. They had 2 pick sixes by Jones in that week 1 game. Boy, remember when we used to call those things 0 week? Those were the days. Mm-hmm. All right. Anyway, week 1. I don't know why we did, but I'm glad we did. But for some reason I wanted to say 0 week then, but it was not 0 week. I don't know. I mean, with Jordan, with Andrew Marsh and no Chad Gasper, to me it seems like a Summer Creek 2-score win. Tell me how Jordan can win this thing.
Number one, you gotta block Chad Woodfork, the defensive end, the TCU commit there for Summer Creek. He's a monster. Got to block him. I think Jordan's going to have to get, they're going to need a big game from Tanner West and then big game from Andrew Marsh. They're going to need Andrew Marsh to put the cape on, though, because Summer Creek's defense and their secondary especially is very opportunistic. They will force turnovers. I think Marsh is going to have to make plays. And Tanner West is going to have to give him some balance here. I think this is going to be a closer game than people think. Jordan is very talented. Like they're not going to be overwhelmed by Summer Creek from a talent standpoint. But Summer Creek is playoff. This is Jordan's first deep run. This is the first time playing on Thanksgiving weekend. This is the 3rd year in a row for Summer Creek. So this is old hat for them now. Kenny Harrison's got that program rolling. And I like Summer Creek to win the Friday night finale there at NRG Stadium.
Yeah, I do too. And they, again, like we said, they saw how the brackets fall out, and they're just gonna step on the gas here. I feel, and get through these first 4 games by gassing it, because their next game will be the winner of this one, which is Strake Jesuit Kingwood. Another huge game for John Hebert. He went an 80 and a 90-yard run. He's now up to like 3,300 yards, which is ridiculous. They're taking on
stupid numbers.
And he wasn't even feeling well last week. He missed a lot of practice last week with flu-like symptoms, and he still busted a couple 2-3. They didn't have to worry about turning the headlights on because there was not going to be any overtimes over there at Del Mar. But they're taking on a Kingwood team that's rolling as well, and I would probably, and maybe you'll agree with me, I feel like Kingwood might be the favorite here in this one and we may see an all 23 6A finals here for Region 3.
Get both. Yeah, I think I'm going to predict it. I'm going to go Kingwood in this one. We're going to get an all-Humble regional final in 6A D2, so I guess that game will be at Turner Stadium. They may have to bring in temporary bleachers for that one, though.
That's true.
That'll be an overflow crowd there. I don't know. Maybe they'll play it at Thorne. Thorne might be a little bit bigger. I got to look at that and see which stadium holds more crowd.
You just want to go there. You just want to go to Thorne. That's why you're trying to push it.
Send me to Thorne. Love Turner. Turner's a great stadium. So Kingwood's rolling. This has been an unbelievable run for the Mustangs, and I think they keep it going one more week. They knock off Strake. You got to contain Hebert, but I think Kingwood's they're battle tested. You talk about Kingwood's got a win over Clear Springs. They beat CE King. They played Atascocita tough. They're losing to close games to a close game to Atascocita and then losing to North Shore. They're battle tested. Strake's not going to throw anything at them they haven't seen. They'll be ready to go. I like the Kingwood Mustangs to get to round 4.
And if you want to talk about two teams ecstatic to be practicing on Thanksgiving, I guarantee you that they're hopping around, going crazy, whatever kind of post practice stuff they're doing. It's just wild situations there because they're both going to use the same motivational speech. Nobody thought we'd be here. Nobody thought we could be here.
It's a Spider-Man meme in this game. They're going to be pointing at each other like, hey,
Yeah. Exactly.
I like Kingwood though. I think Kingwood's got a little destiny on their side right now. Yeah.
I think Kingwood would make it there too. This is the furthest Strake Jesuits made it. Is this the furthest Kingwood's made it? I don't even know.
I think Kingwood may have made a deep playoff run before.
Okay.
But I don't have full.
I know Strake hasn't been this far before, but while you're looking that up, which I feel like you are doing, we're going to move to, or you're looking something up. Move on to 5A Division 1.
I was looking up. I was actually looking up which stadium was bigger, Turner Stadium or
Thorne.
Thorne now. So yeah.
Okay.
But you
let's move to Region 3. You'll tell me in a minute. We got a game at Woodforest Bank Stadium in the Woodlands. College Station took down Lufkin, and Angleton still playing ball here after they had that tough win over Weiss. Then they took out Port Arthur Memorial. They're still rolling here. They get
for them over Port Arthur.
Exactly. They're running into a tough College Station squad that beat a lot of our Houston area teams in the non-district. I know that I believe they took out Klein Collins, right? I can't remember who else they took out in the non-district.
But I think in the season opener.
Yeah, they've had some solid wins against our teams. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
College Station. I watched a good portion of College Station Lufkin last week, and that's a good Lufkin team, and College Station kind of dismantled them. I mean, the score was not, I don't think, indicative of how dominant College Station was. They were up 28-7, 35-14. Good. They were up 3 touchdowns a good portion of the game. Angleton, nice run. Struggled with Port Arthur though. They had to escape by the skin of their teeth against Port Arthur. I think College Station's got a little too much here for them, and I'm going to go with the Cougars to get to the regional final. And Ward, I do have an answer for you. Kingwood has made they did make the state semifinals once in 1990. They made the state semifinals and lost to Converse Judson. But
all right, so
they have not been past. They have not been past the second round since that point. That was the last time they practiced on Thanksgiving Day.
Okay. Well, one of them is going to practice even further after that one.
So there you go.
Let's drop to the lower half, and we got LaPorte, who we just talked about, put an absolute beating on Barbers Hill, and they're taking on A&M Consolidated, who had a nickel and dime their way out of that Galveston ball game. They found a way to win it 10-3, but it's a little tougher than they thought. When they didn't have to go up against Jonah, they still struggled to get a touchdown, but they got the only one in the game.
Yeah, you got to wonder if you're a Galveston ball fan, what could have been if they'd had Jonah Williams.
Wow.
Just, giving A&M they gave A&M Consolidated a great run. They had A&M Consolidated had to put their 300-pound defensive tackle in at quarterback to score the only touchdown. As my guy Vakapuna Faketi barreled in for the only touchdown. So I've been to one A&M consolidated game, and Faketi caught a touchdown pass in that game.
Oh, wow.
And in the two games that I've watched online, he scored a touchdown in as well because when they beat College Station, he returned a fumble for a touchdown. And then last week, he gets in at Wildcat quarterback and scores a touchdown as well. So all the guy does is score big.
You got a William Perry out here, yeah. You got some little refrigerator action.
So, LaPorte, man, I'll tell you what, though, man, Kevin Bernethi's ball club, there might not be a team in Texas playing as good as them right now. They are white hot. And that wing T offense is cooking. They rotate running backs in left and right. They're fast and physical on the defensive side of the ball. I think this is going to be a great ball game. I believe this is 3 o'clock Friday at the Berry Center, if memory serves.
Yeah, exactly right.
Should be if you're not an NRG, this might be the game to go to in the Houston area. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think this is a fantastic matchup. I don't feel great about it, especially considering how both teams played last week, but Consolidated was my pre-playoff pick to win the region. So I'm not going to go against them now. I'm going to go with Consolidated, but if I was just going off how these two teams are playing, I would probably pick LaPorte. So I'm torn on this one, but I can't go against my pre-playoff pick. I'm going to go with Consolidated.
All right, well then I'll go with LaPorte. Well, LaPorte was the team I predicted to go the furthest in 5A Division I from the Houston area, but this is where I thought they would go. This is as far as I thought they'd go. But since you're picking A&M Consolidated, I'll flip it the other way and go with LaPorte here because you're right. They're running up scores like nobody's business, and it'd be sweet to see them keep going. All right, 5A Division II, Region 2. We lost our boys from Huntsville. They didn't have what it took to took down Sock. So Sock goes on to play Marshall. We don't have to stay on this too long, but maybe talk a little bit about Huntsville or I guess it wasn't the Hunts. You said a good Huntsville and a bad Huntsville. I guess we got the bad one.
We got the Huntsville that couldn't move the ball. The defense was playing very well early in the game, but they could not get any offense going in the first half. They only ran, I think, 15 plays from scrimmage in the first half. And I think in the second half, their defense just got worn out. They just were on the field way too long, too many snaps, and they got worn down. And that big South Oak Cliff offensive line wore them down. The kind of key in the game was when Huntsville got a huge break. Sock muffed a punt. It was 10-0 in the early third quarter. Sock muffs a punt. Huntsville gets the ball on the 14-yard line. In the first play, snap it over Zay Adolph's head for like a 15-yard loss and drives over with. And that was church at that point.
That just kills you.
They were done. You just can't do that. You can't do that kind of thing, especially when a team gives you a mistake. South Oak Cliff gave them a gift and they didn't take advantage of it. And that's why South Oak Cliff's a championship team and Huntsville's not.
Right.
The two really games that you really break down for Huntsville was PNG and South Oak Cliff, and they had opportunities and made mistakes that just championship teams don't do. And when you get to a certain level, it's not just about talent anymore. You've got to execute, and you got to play clean football, and Huntsville hasn't gotten to that point yet. And so, you got to be excited about the future. You got Zay Adolph next year back. Trayshawn Brown, the running back, is back for another year. So Huntsville's going to be a really good team again next year. But in order to take that next step, they got to fix some things.
Yeah, and it's good to hear that until you realize next year is 365 days away. So they have to sit on that for a little while.
Next year doesn't seem that close right now.
No, it does not. This one seems like it's going to be a Jim Dandy too. PNG against Texas High, although Texas High seems to be playing on another level here.
They're rolling. They blasted Crandall. It was 51-7 in the third quarter. They called off the Dogs. The final was 58-28, but it definitely was. This is a matchup of two teams whose games weren't as close as the score indicated.
Tell you what, when Crandall loses, they lose in magnificent fashion. I think they've lost a couple of times, and they just get bombed out. But go ahead. How do you think this one will go?
Yeah. So PNG, they beat Kaufman 42-21. It was 42-0 second quarter.
Yeah.
And PNG completely went into a shell after that and just rested guys, and they were done.
Right.
So this game is being played in Natchitoches, Louisiana, at Northwestern State University.
That's right. You talked about that.
They played there a couple of years ago. Texas High won that game. I think it's a unique thing. Geography-wise, it kind of makes sense. There's not a lot of big stadiums between Texarkana and PNG, and the one big stadium that is between there isn't hosting this week, as Stephen F. Austin. So, I get it. You got to go to Natchitoches. There's actually another game, another Texas high school football playoff game in Natchitoches on Friday. Also, it's a doubleheader of Texas games there. So, really interesting. I just think Texas High. Now, PNG is going to have to control the clock and keep Texas High's offense off the field, but it's easier said than done. I think Texas High is just too explosive. You've got too much talent, and I think we're going to get our Texas High South Oak Cliff regional final in Region 2.
Whew. And that'll be a sweet one to see as well. Let's move down to Region 3. Richmond Randall just keeps doing what they do. That's the game you're going to get to see on Saturday in Waller. They're taking on Brenham, who took out Liberty Hill, who was a preseason favorite here. But, man, Randall was just cooking. They are cooking, and they are cooking. And you had talked about how you wanted to see him. Well, you didn't want to, but you felt like you were going to see him in play 16 weeks. This will be a big test for them to see if they can get that far.
This is a huge test. This is their biggest test today. It's a really good Brenham team now. The thing to watch with Brenham, great win over Liberty Hill last week, because Liberty Hill had won a regional title 4 straight years. They've been in the state semifinals 4 years in a row. Brenham sends them home in round 2. Pretty surprising stuff, especially considering Jacoby Dixon didn't play. Their star sophomore running back. He got banged up in the playoff opener against Texas City. Tried to go against Liberty Hill, had 1 carry, was clearly hobbled, and they took him out. And other guys stepped up for Brenham, and they got a gutty 30-27 win over Randall. Gutty's not going to work against Randall, though. Randall is I think at this point, Ward, we are careening. Runaway train here of Richmond Randall and the winner of South Oak Cliff, Texas High, in the state championship game. I think we're
is that the Saturday morning or is that Friday night?
That's the Friday night game.
Okay.
So that's the Friday night game. So I think we're looking at this point. So this tells you who I think is going to win this game. Landon Williams-Callis is just unbelievable. He had 5 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah.
Didn't play the second half, but they've got other guys who are outstanding. Randall's loaded, and I just don't see any reason why they're going to be stopped. Brenham's a good team, but Randall's playing a different level of ball right now.
So here's a trivia question for you. It has nothing to do with inside high school sports. When I first moved here, Step, it was 2006. And there's other shows that my company does. One of them is a national show called Sports Stars of Tomorrow. My first Sports Stars of Tomorrow shoot, where I was the cameraman for, was with the quarterback at Brenham. And Step's going to tell us who that quarterback was. And go, Step. That quarterback was who? That's Matt Step. Everybody knows who the heck he is. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Jarrett Lee was his name. LSU is where he went for however long he went. I know you know things, Steph. Why do I even throw trivia questions at you about high school sports? My next one will be about Washington Bullets trivia. But anyway, let's go to the lower part.
A little Wes Unseld trivia.
Exactly. Talk a little Elvin Hayes, the Biggie. All right. The winner will play the winner of Marshall and Iowa Colony, which will be a team that, if Randall wins, they're very familiar with. Iowa Colony took care of Pflugerville. Marshall had Bastrop.
Division 2, stand up here, man.
Rise up.
With 3 teams in the
Rise up.
finals here.
Who let us down in that one? Oh, Texas City. Dadgummit, Texas City. Yeah. But go ahead and tell me what you think of this one. It's a nice little 10 a.m. game. Again, I cannot spell Marshall right. This is 3 weeks in a row. What's wrong with me?
What is that?
I don't understand this anymore. Why can't I spell Marshall? I hate myself right now. All right.
You just forgot to edit it is what you did.
Exactly. I just dragged it across.
You just need to go in there and edit it now. You just need to
I should.
Can you edit it now?
I wish I could, but it's on a PowerPoint somewhere else.
Okay. All right.
I'm liable to screw up the whole podcast, not that I already have.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Fort Bend Marshall is quietly playing some really good ball right now. They dominated Bastrop last week, and Bastrop beat Liberty Hill in the last game of the regular season. It's a good Bastrop team, and Marshall these 2 playoff games has been dominant.
which
the
we
big test
haven't
for Iowa
seen the
College.
last 2-3 years. Remember,
No,
they haven't done so
James
great in the
Williams.
playoffs.
Yes, they're kind of finding their stride at the right. It's like they're peaking at the right time here. Um, Iowa Colony's playing very well. Pflugerville pushed them a little bit last week, and Iowa Colony, late, second half, pulled away and turned it into the blowout we thought it would be. Really fascinated by this game. I'm actually in a slight upset. Going to take Fort Bend Marshall here.
Oh, how about this? They are playing good if you're picking them.
Fort Bend Marshall, they're playing good enough football, and I think second time around they're going to get Iowa Colony. So we'll go with Fort Bend Marshall. I think we're going to set up a Fort Bend Marshall, Richmond Randall region championship, and my guess is it'll be played at Freedom Field. I'm just going to
Freedom Field. There you go.
That's where they'll play it.
I tell you what, you bet that's a stretch for you because you've been talking about Iowa Colony since I think May of earlier this year. You've been talking about them for a while. So
I just think Fort Bend Marshall's playing too good a football right now. So
well, I may pick Marshall too, considering
me.
Coach Williams says he's not going to lose a game until I spell the name right. So Marshall's going to keep on winning as long as I spell them wrong. All right, let's move on to 4A Division III. Navasota, Division I, Region 3.
How about
the Rattlers? How about them? They're taking on Kilgore now. As we said, Debo's coming. They're going to snatch a chain, but they're taking on Kilgore up at Corsicana. Talk about the Rattlers. I mean, that's an impressive win. They took out one Debo in Lindale.
Their offense is cooking right now. They are playing some good football right now. They've put up 50-plus points in both playoff games, I believe.
Yeah.
I know they put up 50 burger on Yates, and I believe they put up 50 last week on Lindale. Let's double check that while I check. Yep, 56-45. Really impressive offense from Lindale. From Navasota against Lindale.
Right.
The problem is Kilgore's defense is really, really good, among the best in the state. Especially in the secondary, they got a Michigan commit in Jaden Sanders back there, who's a stud. Kilgore's always got two or three really physical and fast running backs. They just play that bruising East Texas style of football, and I think they're going to be a little too much for Navasota. These two have played in the playoffs quite a bit when they were old Class 5A schools before dropping down, and Kilgore's always had Navasota's number, and I think that continues this week. Give me the Kilgore Bulldogs, a.k.a. Ragin' Red.
Ragin' Red. All right, and we're going to go down to the other, and we just talked about Stafford earlier in the show here, man. You got to be proud of the Stafford squad. Taking down Pine Tree. They got another tough East Texas team coming in with Chapel Hill, who Worthing scored some points. You got to give them a little credit there, but they just too much for them. Are they going to be too much for Stafford?
I think so. Now Stafford doesn't have to travel to East Texas this week. They're playing at Randall Reed Stadium on Friday afternoon. Chapel Hill loves to come to Houston. Coach Reardon used to be the head coach at Crosby for a long time. Took them to a state semifinal when he was there at Crosby. He loves to come back to Houston. They played at Turner Stadium last week. This is the third week in a row Chapel Hill's been in Houston because they went to Huffman, they played at Turner, and now they're at Randall Reed. So this is old hat for them. They're used to it. And the big news with Chapel Hill was they got their quarterback, Baylor commit Demetrius Brisbane, back. He had been out for a while. He came back. He did not play. He played quarterback at the end of the game. He spent most of his time at safety and wide receiver, but that's just adding another weapon to what already a loaded team with Texas commit Ricky Stewart at running back. So Chapel Hill's pretty loaded. I think they're going to have a little bit too much firepower for Stafford in this one. So I think we're going to get an all East Texas regional final there with Chapel Hill and Kilgore meeting, I believe, for the fourth straight year in the regional final.
And they'll play that one in Houston. No, they won't.
Yeah, they'll play it in Houston.
The whole thing with
probably play it, I would think, in Tyler or Longview more than likely.
The whole thing with Chapel Hill is they probably play in the Lord of the Rings trilogy on there, and they're like, Coach, we haven't seen how this thing finishes out. Let's take one more trip down to Houston and see the last installment of that movie. Yeah, what have you?
Maybe if they win in the regional final, they'll play their semifinal game in Houston.
There you go. There you go.
Playing Bay City, they might.
Bay City,
they might.
Ooh, them Black Cats are playing. Oh, them Black Cats are smoking right now, and they're taking on Cal Allen, who took out Somerset. Talk to me about the Black Cats, because you mentioned earlier how this thing is kind of spreading out for them to make a nice little run here, and they've gone
the other
3 rounds now.
On the other side of the region are Bay City's district rivals in Lavernia and Port Lavaca, Calhoun. So Bay City very familiar with those opponents. Now Cal Allen's going to be tough. We know A lot of tradition at Corpus Christi Cal Allen. We all know the tradition that they have. They have a new coach in Charlie Reeve, who's in his first year. He came over from Victoria, where he was the head coach at Victoria West, and he's done a great job. They started out a little bit slow. They changed the offense. Cal Allen was kind of a wing T offense. They've kind of gone. They actually got Tyler Chapel Hill's old offensive coordinator to come down to Cal Allen to be the offensive coordinator. So they've kind of installed this spread offense that's predicated around running the football. So it still fits their personality. But Bay City has, number one, experience galore. They've got a lot of 3-year starters, and they've got a ton of team speed. And that gives Cal Allen trouble. I like Bay City in this one. It's going to get close. Cal Allen's going to push them, but I like the Black Cats to get to the regional final, and I think they're going to win the region, Ward. I think we're going to get Bay City in a state semifinal.
Here we go. Let's go, man. Black Cats. I like hearing that because we did something on them early in the year.
I'll tell you what, the Matagorda County, just between Bay City, Van Vleck, and Tidehaven, they got some good ball going on down there.
Things are going on. We'll get to those two in a little bit, but going to Division II, Region 3. How about Sealy? The Sealy Tigers are still moving on. They took out Hampshire Frenette.
Huge win over. They rallied late for that. I think Hampshire Frenette led 17-7 late in that game, and Sealy scored twice late to pull one from the fire, 21-17. Kane Killo in that offense continuing the run here. Tough matchup with Gatesville, who knocked off West Columbia last week. But I like Sealy. I think the Tigers keep it going, Ward. I think we're going to get a Sealy in the regional final. So, Belleville on the other side of the bracket had an upset loss last week, but Sealy's keeping your Houston hopes alive in Region 3.
I was going to say you got to count them as an under radar team. They didn't do anything astounding during the regular season. They won when they should have, and they probably lost when they didn't beat anybody they weren't supposed to, but they're doing it now.
They were a three seed coming in here. So this region is crazy because you got 2 3 seeds. Gatesville is also a 3 seed.
Right.
So you got 2 3 seeds playing here in the regional semi. You're gonna have a third place team in the regional final, which is crazy. And then you've got another third place team on the other side of the bracket
with the
Silsbee Tigers.
With Silsbee still playing.
That was one of the more surprising results of
that is a surprising because you think Silsbee, you think hoops, and you think Mark Henry, that wrestler guy, but you don't think about beating Bill.
They beat Belleville. They beat them bad.
Beat them up, didn't they?
It was impressive. So, really good win for Silsbee, who was also a third place team. Now they're taking on a district champion in Waco La Vega.
Right.
La Vega, fresh off a revenge game over West Orange Stark. Where West Orange Stark beat them in the regular season, La Vega got their revenge in impressive fashion. Great run for Silsbee, but I like La Vega to get to the regional final against Sealy. And my guess, Ward, is they'll probably play that game somewhere in Bryan College Station area.
How about we throw it at Randall Reed again? No?
Hey, maybe talk. I'll put a call into Don Hyde for you.
Yeah, do that, will you? Well, wait a second here. Are you saying 3 seeds are going? But Step, we let too many teams in the playoffs, Step. We let too many teams in there. What's going on here?
Yeah, all these 3 seeds are playing. I don't know. Maybe letting 4 teams in isn't so bad.
Maybe we're okay.
I've got the hot take. I like more footballs better than less football.
I'm with you on that one. Holy cow! All right, let's move it on to Columbus. They're gonna play Yoakum if you got them over at Katy Legacy. They took care of Westwood, and Yoakum took out Fairfield. Your thoughts on this one? Are we healthy enough to beat Yoakum?
District rematch. Columbus and Yoakum played in the regular season. Yoakum finished third, another third place team in the regional season.
Yeah, I don't know why they're even in it.
And they beat a 4th place team last week. Fairfield was 4th in their district last week. So nice run for Yoakum. They do have a great player, Xavier Barnett. Keep an eye on him. Columbus has got way too much. Grayson Rigdon, the running back, just committed to North Carolina State today.
Okay.
So you got Grayson Rigdon, the North Carolina State commit. You got the 2 TCU commits in the Shobles. There for Columbus. Palestine Westwood was 11-0 and really, really impressive. And Columbus absolutely punted them into the sun. It was 34-7 at the half. Dominant win for Shobles Columbus Cardinals. And I think Columbus keeps it rolling to the regional final. They are playing outstanding football right now.
They anchor man that team. They punted them into this, and now this is going to happen. He punts them into the river. That's because the winner plays the team that you keep talking about, and I'm tired of it, Franklin, because I only want to talk about Houston area teams. Is Hitchcock going to upset Franklin? Talk to me right now. I'm listening.
Boy, Hitchcock, whew, that was impressive what they did on Saturday to Tig. 56-14. And Franklin, who has played in 4 consecutive state championship games, didn't look all that great against Diboll last
Didn't
week.
look
They
great,
won,
did they?
But 31-14. I think this is very similar to the Laporte A&M Consolidated scenario here, where I'm going to pick Franklin because I picked him in the preseason, but Hitchcock's playing better. And I'm not going to be surprised at all if Hitchcock gets this win. I mean, what Hitchcock's done without Chubby Jones at quarterback has been really, really impressive. Now, it's going to hurt them on the basketball court a ton when we get to basketball season for Hitchcock losing Chubby Jones.
He's done for the whole season. That's it.
He's done, yeah. So
done for high school.
yeah. So football-wise, though, Hitchcock's backup quarterback has come in and done a great job. They still got Kelshawn Johnson. They've still got a lot of playmakers. I'm going to pick Franklin, but I don't feel great about it. I think Hitchcock's got the juice to beat him.
Well, I'm going to pitch Hitchcock, and I do feel great about it because I just feel great about Houston squad. Let's go.
You just feel
Hitchcock,
you
Columbus.
feel great about a Hitchcock-Columbus regional final.
Yeah, exactly.
All Houston, and that means it's all good in your world.
Your boy's a homer. That's all I've ever been. So that's all I'll ever be.
Hey.
Speaking about homer, how about this one? Wow. Van Vleck against Tidehaven. Tidehaven taking out Dilly
Bay City
and Van Vleck. Oh, my
playing
gosh.
in Bay City. It's going to be great. Man, Van Vleck's got a running back, Corey Austin. If you haven't heard of him, you need to talk. Ward, you may need to. I know I'm my counterpart on the DFW podcast. He's a senior, but
okay.
My DFW counterpart tells you to get a camera out to school and watch a kid. This is a kid you need to come see. He's well over 2,500 yards rushing. I mean, he's put up monster numbers this year, leading a 4th place team to the regional semifinal. And let me tell you, Tidehaven beat Van Vleck in the regular season, but it was close. It was a 7-point game.
Okay.
So this is going to be a dogfight. These two teams know each other like the back of their hand. There's no secrets here. These kids know each other. They grew up together. I mean, these are two towns not far from each other. They're meeting in Bay City, which is like 10 minutes from both cities. It is going to be a crazy atmosphere at Black Cat Memorial Stadium in Bay City on Friday. If you're down in that part of the state, Matagorda County is the game to go to. I'm going to go with Tidehaven because I'm going to go Champions Advantage here with Coach Lucio and those guys. But, man, Van Vleck, Shannon Permenter's got that ball club playing good. And if they win this one, Ward, you got to send somebody down to Van Vleck to talk to Corey Austin because that dude is unbelievable.
Okay, will do. Man, that's going to be a fantastic atmosphere, I know, for small school action. We lost East Bernard, so we don't have to talk too much about this, but just talk about East Bernard, their loss to Poth, and what do you think is going to happen throughout this one?
Yeah, East Bernard Poth was a toss-up game. Two really good teams just happened to be playing early in the playoffs. Unfortunately, one of them had to go, and unfortunately, it was East Bernard. Poth won a 2-point ball game. Kind of a defensive struggle, kind of a slugfest. Lexington's got a really good quarterback. I think Lexington's gonna outgun Poth in this one, so I think we're gonna get a Lexington Tidehaven regional final.
All right, that should be sweet. All right, we already know where you're going, man, but you're going to tell us anyway. Talk to me.
Yeah. So Friday, I will be at NRG Stadium all day for the triple-header. We got Iowa Colony and Fort Bend Marshall. We got Katy and North Shore. And we got Summer Creek and Katy Jordan. So fired up about that. And then Saturday, I will be in Waller for the 2 o'clock game between Randall and Brenham. And then after that, I'm going to find something good to eat. Take myself out for birthday dinner in H-Town.
That's right, everybody. It's his birthday today.
And then probably lock into the DeSoto Willis.
The
DeSoto and Willis game Saturday night in my hotel. So I won't be at the game, but I'll be watching DeSoto and Willis.
I might actually be at that one. So look for me on the sidelines, man. I'll be looking. I was going to say, if you're on a tablet, I'd be this small, but I'm still way too big. You'll see me anyway. It's embarrassing.
So I'm going to see 5 games involving Houston teams this week. 4 in person and 1.
We've been waiting for it.
Tablet, so.
We've been waiting for it, so I appreciate it, man.
It's been too long. I need to get back to Houston, so I'm fired.
It's time. It's time for some action. All right, Step. This is his birthday is today when we're taping this. So yesterday, when you see this, if it was a group of people, we'd sing to you. But one dude singing to another dude ain't right in my book. I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like doing it. Not with my voice anyway. I say this for church. I give God the good songs. I don't give it to you. But I appreciate it. And hey, we'll see you in Houston. But people, go out and shake his hand if you see him, or holler at him when he's out there talking to the coaches. Step, come over and talk to me. Turn your hat around. I don't understand why it's backwards. Don't ask him that. I'll tell you, he will come at you if you talk about his backwards hat. I know that. All right, buddy boy. We will talk to you next week when we got the regional finals. All right, brother. Another victory.